that we're putting in a little bit of undercolor, and I may now mix in a little bit of burnt umber into some of the darker areas. Again, when I'm demonstrating, I tend to work a little faster than you should, just because, you know, people have only got so much tolerance for watching so much of this. So, okay, so maybe I'll just put this along here. Let's see, maybe this area over here gets a little darker. Whoa, well, if I get too dark, I'm not concerned, because I'm fixing to throw a bunch of white ink on here. Okay, so then you could begin to make some strokes in there just to warm up. Probably none of this would ever show in the end. So if you're working on something like that and you want it to show up, the thing is for the second application with the brush to be thicker than what's down here, because thicker won't flow out. So see, if it's a little bit thicker, you can do this kind of thing. Okay, just saying, if you wanted to, which, like I said, that's practically a waste. Okay, so there he is, and he's not looking that fabulous, to put it mildly. Yeah, he's
This makeover
a
is
lot.
not finished.
Yeah, this is the makeover thing.
Yeah, he just woke up and had his coffee.
Right. You know, that's why those birds are out there singing. It's because they know you're coming out with coffee.
Yeah, that's it.
They want to inhale the fumes or something. Okay. So let's go ahead and now I want to thin this mixture out so it's a little soupier than what I just showed you with the other stuff that no one online understands. Okay. So, well, that's not quite strong enough. And here's the thing, this is still wet, which you can do this with this still wet, but that means that I need my paint to be thicker. If yours was dried, then you would want your paint to be a little thinner. So what's happening is this is going to go ahead and mix in a little bit, I think. And, well, we need some gray up here. Normally, if I had a lot of, there I'm getting some dry brush, and I'm going to go ahead and go with it, just because, it'll work, and I might like it, yeah. Okay, so you're getting a little of this in here, and then you're going to start working your color into it. You need enough white there that it's going to have a certain amount of opacity that lets you do this. Okay. All right, so we got that.
So put the white on it while it's still wet.
While it's still wet, and it's sort of picked up some of the undercolor, and it's doing a thing. Then you want a small brush. I think you do. Okay. And you're going to start adding color just where I'm painting from his, because his is so good. Okay. So we're going to want some blue. And a little brown mixed into some of the blue so that we get kind of a gray. Because we got some gray places on there. If you just mix white with pure burnt umber, it will start to look a little on the gray side all by itself.
White,
But,
green.
yeah.
So is that cerulean?
That's cerulean, yeah. So,
And what was the other color?
that was burnt umber.
Okay.
So, I'm going to gray this up a little bit. Well, oh dear, that's not looking right. That's a little heavy. So what do? You might want to have some white ink out here. Oh, I do. Oh, well. I think I'll put in a tiny bit more white. You want to be careful that you don't clump it up with so much white that you're just in a, trying to mix into a snowball, because it just won't make you happy. So let's just. So you're kind of mixing color. Oh. I've got some white on my brush, and I've got the brown and some white, and some blue, and let's see what this does. I don't know that so you could actually go ahead and do some individual strokes in a way that you might have trouble with if you used watercolor. You can kind of begin to build this, and let's get a little bit more brown here, because I've gone way out of whack with this. There. Let's just wipe that off and blend a little bit in up here. So see, you can blend and get soft edges here working this way. Kinds of little things happening in here. I'm probably going to take a little longer than I usually do, just because there's just different areas to show. Here we got something happening here. You can get little soft edges if you want, with this. And I think we need. So this becomes additive painting rather than the subtractive that you normally do when you're working with watercolor. So see, I can just keep working back and forth. Because this is now we're basically working with gouache or with opaque color. It's a little darker right here, and I know I won't get this all at the beginning, but I can go back later, much later. Whoops, I want a little bit more dark on here, or maybe I should wipe my brush off. I think I'm gonna have to wipe my brush off. To get, because I want a little bit more of a dark right there. So you can blend, do nice little things like this. Oop. Okay, wipe that off. Let's see what this is going to do. And again, you're trying things out. You're seeing what results you're getting. And I'm saying, oh, no, I need a little stronger color here to make it work, or I need a little more white. You're just adjusting by what the painting is wanting to do. So as you come down, and I'm not doing all this, but as you come down, you may actually want to add a little bit of blue down in here. Of course, it's going to mix with some of the rest of this. I've got this thinner. This is just pure cerulean with a little water. You could get a little bit of a blue-gray tint adding this into what's already there. So you see how the bird can work, and you're working with the paint. And so that could be a lot of fun. I just hope it doesn't become so much fun that you all become gouache addicts. But yeah, it can be, it could be a really nice thing. And you could see right here, he's come back and laid some lights on towards the last. Actually pulled some strokes on top of some of that white. He's got a clump of white there, and then he's pulled some strokes on top of that. This just looks so nice, Ken. This is just a beautiful job. So, oh, and here I actually picked up a little bit of Quinn Burnt Scarlet and added to my brown if you wanted to go a little more colorful. Mm-hmm. Don't feel that the colors I showed you are all you can do. I'm just saying that makes a good starting point, and then you can just play with it until it becomes perfect. You forget it. Okay, so what I did was, I made a few lines on here. They're a little too, much like a line, okay? My point is, because I kind of done this to the whole thing, and I went back over it, and all I did was add a little water and just very gently give it a stroke or two, looking for when I reached a certain point where I was happy with it. So it's not that you want to get rid of all your lines, you just want to soften them a little bit so that they're a little bit more impressionistic. So like down here, I put some dark there. I want to soften that edge, so I've just got water on here. So I'm just doing a little bit to soften the edge, but I don't want to get rid of all the little strokes. I don't want to lose the feathers. I just wanted to soften them a little bit, so I did that. You're coming into the eye. You could just put a little highlight on it, but you could also, and this is just watercolor on here, you can also just dampen that and give it a little blot, and that kind of gives the eye, a little more roundness, and then you could still put the highlight on it. But so that it's, if you look at Ken's again, you'll see that the eyeball on his is not just black, it's a little light, and then he also has a highlight on it. I put these little areas in down here, and now I can just kind of pull them out. Oh, I may have a little white left on my brush, of course, but begin to do something like that with the beak. So we have Mike's here, and I was a little critical of Mike's. I think Mike simply did a certain amount with the gouache and felt like, it would overwork because, watercolor does. But this really doesn't very much. So this is a little bit harsh, and that little highlight there
Yeah.
kind of makes a
Killed it.
strange bulge, yeah. So, put a little color in there. We may need a little more. But let's just see what happens if we dampen. Okay, we'll just take one area. So you can see the white coming loose there too. I want to be pretty gentle because I don't want to overdo it, but see, I can make these areas transition pretty easily. You can see how you might even on just a regular watercolor be able to go in and alter an area or two. If it's got enough watercolor mixed into the white, it will the white won't stand out too much. And I'm not just talking about,
It's a strange siren.
No extra charge for the sound
Oh,
effects.
fire truck.
yeah, no extra, yes. They'll make the video more exciting.
That's right.
So, I might play with that, and then I might wind up having to come back and add some more color. Dear. And some of this is getting dry, and again, if it's got the gouache mixed, the white ink gouache, if it's got it mixed in, it may dry a lot faster. So, I might go in and tickle that a little bit. But the point is that you can work on top of this. You don't have to, it looks like you worked really dry there
I
and
did.
then stopped.
I did.
And I think you were afraid of messing it up. And the other thing is, it's got a little bit of the Egyptian eye thing here going on. And what that does is, it's way too wet. Let me get the other brush. What that does, and you'll see that on a lot of animals, you'll see this thing happen right here that comes out. Still, I've left that area wet. I should have blotted it. It comes out like this. That's going to dry considerably darker, I think. Remember, this stuff dries darker, not lighter. But what that does is it makes a little arrow that points into the eye and brings the eyes out. Yeah. So That's just a little trick, a little thing that you can use. But here, I would just get this damp again,
Yep,
and I would
just work it.
continue working it a
Yep,
little bit.
I'm with you.
And you could just keep playing into it and playing into it until it makes you happy.
I just have a long history of overworking, so now I tend to underwork, especially
Yes,
when I'm
and
using
I,
gouache
because,
white.
because we've been using